The 1990s weren't just a golden era for action films, they were a masterclass in cinematic storytelling. While the 1980s are often celebrated for their raw, over-the-top action, the 90s delivered something even more refined. A decade of films that balanced heart-pounding sequences with emotional depth, technical brilliance, and unforgettable characters. But here's where it gets controversial. Was the 90s truly the peak of action cinema? Or are we just nostalgic for a time when explosions weren't digital and heroes still had flaws? Let's dive into 10 films that defined the era, starting with the one that still holds up as a blueprint for action perfection. The Rock, Michael Bay's hidden gem and why it's his masterpiece. Michael Bay's name often sparks debates. Love him or loathe him, his Transformers saga divided critics and fans for years. But rewind to 1996 and you'll find The Rock, a film that somehow feels like Bay's best work. Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery clash as a rogue group seizes Alcatraz, blending high-octane chaos with surprisingly heartfelt stakes. The film's genius lies in its ability to lean into Bay's strengths, massive set pieces, while softening his usual excesses. But here's the twist. Could this film's success be a fluke, or does it prove Bay can craft substance when he wants to? Share your take in the comments. The Last Boy Scout. Buddy cops with a dark sense of humor. Tony Scott, the man behind Top Gun and Unstoppable, had a knack for polarizing audiences. His 1991 film, The Last Boy Scout, defies expectations by mixing buddy cop tropes with biting satire and brutal action. Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans play a disgraced cop and a jaded football star, respectively, as they unravel a conspiracy involving crooked politicians and organized crime. But here's the part most people miss. This isn't just a comedy-action hybrid. It's a sharp critique of 90s celebrity culture. Was Scott ahead of his time? Or did audiences just miss the point? Let's discuss. Point Break, Keanu Reeves' role before Neo. Before he became the Matrix's savior, Keanu Reeves was Agent Johnny Utah in Kathryn Bigelow's Point Break. A cop goes undercover to dismantle a gang of thrill-seeking bank robbers led by Patrick Swayze's Bodhi. The film's action sequences, like the infamous cliff-diving robbery, are so over-the-top they border on surreal, but beneath the adrenaline lies a surprisingly emotional rivalry between Utah and Bodhi. And this is the part most people miss. The film's themes of freedom versus responsibility still resonate today. Could this be Reeves' most underrated role? We'll let you decide. Mission Impossible, the blueprint for modern espionage thrillers. Brian De Palma's 1996 Mission Impossible film. Impossible isn't just the start of a legendary franchise, it's a masterclass in tension and precision. Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt navigates a web of lies and near-impossible missions, all while De Palma crafts a film that feels as tight as a coiled spring. While later entries leaned harder in spectacle, the original remains a benchmark for how to balance plot and action without losing momentum. But here's a thought. Is the 90s version of Ethan Hunt more relatable than his modern, gadget-heavy counterpart? Sound off below. True Lies. James Cameron's over-the-top action comedy, Arnold Schwarzenegger's True Lies, is a wild ride of espionage, family drama, and jaw-dropping stunts. Co-starring Jamie Lee Curtis in one of her funniest roles, the film walks a tightrope between slapstick and sincerity. Cameron's direction ensures the action never overshadows the characters. But let's be real. This movie exists because the 90s loved big. Was this the era's best example of style over substance? Or did it prove that action comedies could have heart? Your thoughts, please. Face Off, John Woo's American masterpiece. John Woo's Face Off is a sci-fi action epic that defies categorization. Nicolas Cage and John Travolta play cops and criminals who literally swap faces, leading to a showdown of epic proportions. The film's balletic gunfights and emotional stakes showcase Woo's unique style, but here's the kicker. Despite its success, Woo never quite replicated this formula in Hollywood. Was Face Off a one-off triumph? Or did American audiences just fail to appreciate his artistry? Share your take. The Matrix, the sci-fi action film that changed everything. Need we say more? The Wachowskis' 1999 The Matrix redefined action cinema with its bullet-time effects and philosophical depth. Keanu Reeves' Neo isn't just a hero, he's a symbol of rebellion against the system. The film's influence is everywhere, from CGI-heavy blockbusters to existential superhero tales. But here's a controversial angle. Has a modern action lost the soul of The Matrix by prioritizing spectacle over substance? Let's debate. Hard-Boiled, John Woo's Hong Kong masterpiece. Before Face Off, John Woo gave us Hard-Boiled, a Hong Kong action classic that's still unmatched. The film's legendary shootout scene is a masterclass in choreography and tension. But here's the part most people miss. The film's emotional core, two cops bound by duty and tragedy, elevates it beyond mere spectacle. Could this be the most underappreciated action film of the decade? We're curious to know. Terminator 2: Judgment Day, the sci-fi action benchmark. James Cameron's Terminator 2 isn't just a sequel, it's a revolution. Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 and Linda Hamilton's Sarah Connor redefine what an action hero can be, both physically and emotionally. The film's special effects, yes, including that iconic liquid metal T-1000, set new standards for the genre. But here's the question. Could any modern film replicate the raw, unfiltered intensity of Judgment Day? Let's hear it. Heat, Michael Mann's masterpiece of tension, is a slow-burn thriller that builds to one of the greatest action scenes ever filmed. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro play a cop and a robber in a decades-long game of cat and mouse. The film's bank heist and subsequent shootout are so meticulously crafted, they've become a blueprint for every action film since. But here's the twist. Is the film's emotional weight its greatest achievement? Or does its realism make it too bleak for modern audiences? Sound off. The verdict. These 10 films aren't just relics of the 90s, they're time capsules of a genre at its peak. But here's the elephant in the room. Has action cinema moved on? Or are we still chasing the 90s shadow? Which of these classics would you rank at the top, and why? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's reignite the debate over the decade that defined action cinema.